It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, episode 76. The day before all the Android tablets come out, we'll take a look at a whole lot more Google news coming up with Gina Trapani and Jeff Jarvis. Twig is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. You'll find all the TWiT shows on your Roku box, Android and BlackBerry phones, and all Yahoo widget TVs powered by Mediafly. For more information, visit twit.tv/Mediafly. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 76, recorded January 5th, 2011. 600 million served. This Week in Google is brought to you by Ford and voice-activated Sync with My Ford Touch. Make calls, play music, and more with Sync with My Ford Touch. Available exclusively on Ford and Lincoln vehicles. For more information and online demos, visit syncmyridepodcast.com. And by Carbonite. Backing up the files on your PC or Mac is safe and easy with Carbonite. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to carbonite.com. Offer code TWIG. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show that covers Google in the cloud. And coming down from her cloud, we're so happy to have Gina Trapani here, who was not feeling well for a long time. I didn't know you were coughing last time.
Thank goodness for the mute button. I'm coming down from my cloud of antibiotics. Get vaccinated, folks. Get vaccinated. Seriously, I will come cough on you. You have whooping cough. I have pertussis. I have adult whooping cough, which is a cough without the whoop, basically.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and it's a lot of coughing and a lot of tissues.
Most of us got a vaccination for it as kids, but then every 10 years you have to get a booster, your DPT booster.
Exactly. So the children have been vaccinated. They're okay. My nieces and nephews, no problem.
Good.
It was the adults in my family who I called and said, hey, did you get your TPD?
Why don't you go over to Jenny McCarthy's house?
Yeah, seriously.
Cough on her.
I would like to visit Ms. McCarthy and cough on her.
Wouldn't that be karma? Wouldn't that be so funny?
It would be fun.
I wouldn't want to wish that, even on Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
Also here, he's working on this fifth day of the year, Mr. Jeff Jarvis at his office at the City University of New York. Hey, Jeff.
Good to see you.
And
good work on to the crew on the Best Of show. I thought it was.
Oh gosh, yeah. It was a lot of glee, a lot of Chipotle.
Yeah.
So in fact, that was that great scene. In fact, it was hard. Poor Eileen really had to work because I guess we hadn't saved it or something. But where she brings the Chipotle in during the show for me. Apparently, the Twitterer for Chipotle, what is it? Chipotle tweets.
Chipotle tweets
was underwhelmed by the whole thing.
Well, no, he came back around. He was happy.
Oh, good.
Yeah. In fact, I said that they should sponsor.
They should.
As did other people.
They should sponsor your Facebook stream, Jeff. You're always at Chipotle.
Always there.
Every time I look on Facebook, Jeff says, at Chipotle.
They offered me coupons, and I said, no, just sponsor the show.
Yeah.
But I also found out, I wish that they had jalapeno as a choice. They don't, but Chipotle tweets said that you can ask for it, and indeed you can get diced fresh jalapeno peppers from the back.
Ooh. See, so that Twitter thing helps.
It does.
It does. It's a secret menu.
Secret menu items.
Yeah.
You can also ask for more cilantro from the...
I love the cilantro. I could always use more cilantro.
Is the chat room going nuts right now? Oh, my God, they're into it already. No, Chipotle rocks. Okay. That's the right demographic.
Oh, dear. Let us talk about Google. By the way, yes, there is a Foursquare check-in for every Chipotle in the country. There's a Foursquare check-in. I have to thank Dan Hendricks, our chat room moderator, who created a Foursquare check-in for our CES booth.
Yay.
So right on.
Watch for some check-ins. I know, Gina and Jeff, you are not going to Consumer Electronics Show.
No.
Have you gone? Do you go every year, Leo?
I went every year for many years. Last time I stopped in 2004 because I didn't have to, and it's pretty exhausting. We started again last year for the TWiT network, and in fact, I'm really looking forward to it. We're sending a bunch of people down. We will have amazing coverage starting tonight and going through all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with everything you'd ever want to know. The big story, frankly, I think, at CES last year was 3D TVs.
Yeah, that took over the world, didn't it?
And I'm sure they'll be back for round 2. In fact, there are going to be a lot of 3D camcorders trying to let's get some content here.
Let me put on some really big glasses and get a horrible headache and watch TV. and the net result is, I can touch it. Yes.
I'm with you, to be honest. But apparently the industry is still 100% behind 3D. And then the other story was because Apple hadn't yet come out with his iPad. In fact, at the time, we thought it was going to be called the iSlate. So there were all these slates. Well, stand back. Because if you thought there were slates, and a lot of them at CES last year, this is the year where everybody and their brother is going to do, and they'll all be Android-based because Android's free. So any manufacturer, including Asus, Vizio Motorola.
Which I like is we bought Vizio TVs and like them, and they're going to do both a tab and a phone, they say.
Yeah, both on Android.
Yeah.
So instead of CES, we're going to call it CAT, Crappy Android Tablet Time. Lots of them will be there, I'm sure. Actually, only one that I know of will be running Honeycomb. Honeycomb, it requires.
Who's that going to?
Well, that's and the reason I say that is because it requires an A9, a dual processor that is currently only available in the NVIDIA Tegra platform. And Motorola's, they say, Motorola is announcing its tablet. They had a name.
That's depressing, though. That means that my poor beloved Galaxy Tab will never run Honeycomb.
Well, and that's actually a big part of the story is because it requires dual processors. You're right. Nothing out there right now will run it. Although
2-year contract.
You've got Froyo on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bummer. They got to be careful.
So Gina's, so as soon as I read that story, I thought, okay, Gina's right. Gina's too nice to say, I told you so.
Was she, Gina, were you saying don't get a tablet?
I was just coughing out the words, I told you so. No,
I told you so.
No, I feel bad. I feel bad that your tab's going to be, possibly obsolete. That stinks. That stings. But yeah, this is kind of the reason why I'm trying to hold out for the official tablet-ready Honeycomb release. But I don't know. It's tough. When the next iPad comes out, I may buy that first. We're going to see.
Right.
Ooh.
The Motorola event is, I think, going on right now. Am I right, or is it tomorrow at 1 p.m.? 4 p.m. Oh, it's 4 p.m., so it's going on this afternoon.
I'm just so glad that all of you go to CES and figure out what's important for all of me who get to sit home and wrapped up in my blanket, because I've never been to CES, but it sounds like a nightmare.
Well, you're going next year. I'm making you go next year.
I know. I kind of I can't call myself a tech journalist at all because I've never been to CES, but it just sounds like it sounds insane.
You've been, right, Jeff?
Yeah. I haven't been for many years, but it's just the walking is just killer on that hard floor. Oh.
Yep. And you cannot cover it all in the amount of time allotted. It's huge. There's a pretty broad variety of stuff because remember, this isn't a computer show. It's consumer electronics, which means everything from rocks for your garden that have built-in speakers to car stereo to TVs.
Well, do they still have the adult videos?
They've moved the adult video into the Adult Video Expo.
That used to be funny. It was this cordoned off area,
right? And
you'd watch the electronics stores owners skulking in there.
My wife asked me because I was not planning to go. We were not bringing our cameras there. Do not look for coverage on TWiT of the Adult Video Expo. But my wife said, "Well, you've been there before." I said, "Yeah." When I was at Tech TV, they sent me and a crew over, and it was a nightmare. And she said, "Oh yeah, you hated it." But it was a nightmare because apparently a lot of strippers watched Tech TV. So I'm there with a camera crew, and they all go, Leo! And they're trying to give me lap dances. They're rubbing up against me, and the camera crew's going, and I'm thinking, no, stop.
Yeah, that sounds horrible, Leo. I mean,
well, I'm just thinking of my public image here and my wife, what she's going to say when she sees this video. So we made a quick exit. But and I am not going this year. But yeah, they had to separate them. They were the whole idea of CES is a consumer electronics show. It brings dealers of consumer electronics to meet the manufacturers to decide what they're going to buy. Usually not now, but in September. You know, for the next year's holiday buying season or 2011's holiday buying season. And of course, there were a lot of video stores involved with that. So the video cassette guys were all there, and a lot of adult videos.
You know, I can't get this out of my mind. Geek strippers.
Oh, well, okay, you know why?
Just too great.
You know why this was?
Why?
Because this was in the dawn of the webcam girls. So this was, I don't know what year, 2002 or 2003, where there were a lot of strippers, women who realized they could kind of, and actually it was empowering.
Make their own living.
It was feminist because they were going to get out of the strip club, get out of the whatever, you know, unhappy situation they were in and come from their home, and it would be their own business and so forth. And so remember Danny? I can't remember her last name. Danny's the most downloaded woman on the internet. This was right about that time. So it was really when the adult industry was discovering the internet. And so that's why when I walked in, I guess for a lot of them, I was teaching them how to do it. I didn't know it.
That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise I don't think I'd have a big constituency in the...
And geeks across the world, thank you for it, Leo.
The new Motorola tablet, you know. I am. If I could, I would. The new Motorola tablet is on a Tegra 2, so it does have the A9 processor. It's called the Atrix, A-T-R-I-X 4G. It will be AT&T. It will support AT&T's HPSA Plus network. AT&T announced it this morning at their developers conference.
How big?
Let me look. Let me see. It looks, you know, the picture looks like it's a 7-inch. I can't tell. It doesn't, you know, this is a pretty poor article. It doesn't say anything about the specs, just that they announced it. So I will continue to look. If anybody knows.
I'm looking at it. Says a 4-inch. So that can't be.
No, maybe it is.
Oh, the Atrix 4G dual-core smartphone.
Oh, it's a phone.
It's a phone. Yeah. 4-inch QHD, 24-bit capacitive touchscreen, micro SD. I'm looking at. I just Googled. Googled.
Google Atrix.
Yeah.
So that's not the tablet, but it will be capable of running Honeycomb, presumably, because it's got the Tegra 2 in it. We're going to see so much stuff this week, and I imagine some of it will be worth looking at. I don't know.
What I want to see is creative uses of the chipset and the OS in other kinds of devices.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the fabled internet refrigerator.
You'll see that. I'm sure Android will be in everything.
Yeah. I mean, how all can Ford use it in cars?
Toyota, in fact, says they're doing a platform. We haven't heard about it yet. Right. A sync-like platform for Toyota. They're a little bit behind on that. But yes, of course, if you're a car manufacturer, now Microsoft Car powers Sync. It's a Microsoft platform which Sync is built on top of. But if you're a manufacturer trying to compete with Sync, I would think the first thing you do is look at Android.
Right. And I saw another car, I can't remember who it was, that's going to broadcast your car's location. Is it Hyundai?
I didn't see that. Well, you know, the folks, Parrot, who do that drone helicopter that was really big at CES last year, they actually are an in-car stereo guys. And they're making an Android-based car unit that will, in fact, broadcast your position and do all sorts of stuff and have apps on it. It's they're hoping it's its own platform, so that they're hoping that people will develop specifically for the Parrot in-car platform. Let me see. They do Bluetooth hands-free. Oh, actually, they do a very cool Bluetooth hands-free set. That's right. I forgot about that. But they have announced an Android-based in-car system with a knob and all sorts of stuff. I think we're going to see. You know what? Just for you, Jeff, I will wander the floor looking for exactly that. Not tablets, not phones, but new uses of Android. And because Android's open source and free, anybody can do something. That's why you're going to see all these cheap Android clones.
Will we see, by the way, Chrome OS devices at CES?
I don't think so. I don't think Google's planning that. In fact, well, you know what we're not going to see, which is kind of a surprise? We're not going to see a Google TV devices either, because Google told its partners, can you not mention Google TV? Please don't talk about it.
Did we call that a beta?
So what is Google's presence at CES? They
don't have a booth. They don't have a booth. I don't think they have any official presence there.
Oh, okay.
In fact, as I said, the one thing they don't want is anybody to mention Google TV. Microsoft is going to take on, everybody agrees, Google TV. We don't know yet. This isn't official, but the rumor is that Steve Ballmer, who speaks tonight, we all know he'll announce competing tablets based on Windows 7, not on Android, obviously, for competing to the iPad. But the rumor is they're going to announce a $200 media center device that will compete with Google TV. And I'll be honest with you, Microsoft is not like Apple in its ability to keep rumors quiet. I think if this rumor is everywhere, I think it's probably true.
Wait, doesn't Microsoft have like a gazillion media center products?
Microsoft's biggest problem, as you're seeing right here, is they have a bazillion products.
Well, right, they have a bazillion, but I mean they have the Xbox, right? I mean
Xbox should be this device, and I would hope that the capabilities of this device would migrate to Xbox. They used to support media extender devices made by a variety of companies that would allow you to hook something to your TV that would then pull from Windows media devices. Right. And play your stuff on your TV. But that wasn't it was, other parties made those. But they've never been able to make a inexpensive set-top box.
No.
So this is a very interesting idea for Microsoft, especially if they can get the price down.
Connect could be, to my mind, a really important part of that, because it can finally change the UI of going around a TV.
Right. That's a good point.
And that could be hugely important. I mean, I'm so impressed with Connect. We got it for Jake.
Great.
It's really great.
It's amazing. And it does change the whole notion of UI.
On the radio show, because you have to do this, you gave my list of top 5 gadgets of 2010, and Connect was number 5, easily, iPad was number 3. The Nexus S was number 2. The MacBook Air was number 1. I can't remember what number 4 was. It wasn't Google TV, I'll tell you that. It might have been.
Good picks, Leo.
So far, so good. What did I leave out? Samsung Galaxy Tab?
Jeff would probably say so.
I'd like that.
I like it a lot.
I'm loving it.
Was it one of the 5 best things of 2010?
Thumb typing.
You don't use Swipe because it comes with Swipe on it.
I can't use Swipe.
You can't thumb type with Swipe, that's for sure.
No, Swipe doesn't work the way my brain works.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I'm a touch typist, so I'm hitting buttons.
Yeah. I had played, because I got the Nexus S, which means I got Gingerbread and the new Google keyboard. And I have to say, I was not, I used it for a while, and I went back to SwiftKey, which I really like, but I always end up on Swipe. Isn't
really?
Swipe's the best. I think Gina and I both agree that Swipe's the way to go.
I was using ShapeWriter. It's kind of similar thing. I went just going back to the stock keyboard for a little while because I was having trouble with the ShapeWriter getting stuck. Like it wouldn't retract, and it was bugging me. So, but yeah, I'm still not. I'm thinking about trying. What's that other one? It's not a slide keyboard, but it's a SwiftKey.
That's the one I was using. Yeah. I kind of like SwiftKey.
Yeah. I'm non-committal still on the keyboard.
The T9,
but I do like
the Android
sliding.
T9 is driving me nutty sometimes.
I hate
there's
T9.
things you just can't do. You cannot do something like Twig. Capital, lowercase capital. It will not let you do that. It will not listen to you.
See, SwiftKey will remember it. I mean, Swipe. SwiftKey will too, but Swipe will remember it, and then you can swipe it, which I do all the time.
But it won't even, on the regular keyboard, it won't let you do that.
You can't add to the
can you not add to the dictionary? Oh, you mean you're just talking about the case, right?
He wants to save the case, yeah.
Right.
Like case, that's one example. No, it will not let you do it. You can manually do it 10 times. It will not let you.
You can blame me for that because nobody.
This is Google. We know better.
Nobody does reverse intercapping except TWiT. But I do it a lot. So there. I'm
trying this right now.
It's my answer to camel case. I just say no. I'm going to do it the other way. What's an upside down hump?
Huh?
It's that's what the lowercase I in the all uppercase word for TWiT and Twig.
Well, I see. I like it.
I like it too. It's a. Although I have to say, and as a journalist, you probably hate this too. In fact, what is your policy? You know, remember CNET?
Serial commas. Always serial commas.
I agree. I'm a Harvard comma guy. But no, I'm not talking about that. What do you do about weird typography? Like CNET is technically C bar NET, all lowercase. What do you do? Do you just type CNET?
Yeah, screw them.
Screw them. Yeah. So in a way, you know, that's my attitude as a journalist. But then as a brand, it's nice to have something kind of that stands out and is unique. And I like
then AOL does capital A, lowercase OL now, except in its own billboard in the Valley, it's all caps.
It's an acronym. It should be all caps.
They changed it to AOL.
Hey. Well, maybe they don't want anybody to remember America online.
This may be the most ridiculous topic we've ever done on Twitter. Capitalization.
This brings me back to my first year life hacker, where like we had massive internal debates about the like exclamation point at the end of Yahoo and things like that.
Your style guide. What did you decide?
I wanted to be true to the brands. We went exclamation point for a while, but then I just said this is
it's like you're advertising. Yahoo!
Well, right, and the sentence just wouldn't read well, so I figured the copy was more important than the brand.
I agree. I agree. And so, as a journalist, I'm with you guys. I'm saying don't do those. That's like branding stuff. Don't do that. Just put it into English. But then, as a brander, you want to have that because that Yahoo exclamation mark is part of your look.
Yahoo should be followed now by a question mark.
Yahoo.
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 That's just wrong. But I still got a good laugh out of it.
I think it's right. It ain't wrong. It's so wrong. It's right.
Okay, Jeff. So I'm typing twig with capital T, capital W, and capital G, and a lowercase I, and it takes a little work to do it because you have to like hit the shift key a couple of extra times. But then you get that do you get the tap to save prompt?
No, for the regular keyboard T9.
Yes.
Oh, there's a tap to save prompt.
I didn't know there was a tap to save.
Oh.
Yeah, so when you type in a word that it doesn't know or that's not in its dictionary, it will tap it. Like you'll see it listed like, oh, this is the thing you type. Tap it, and then it'll say tap to save if you want to retype it.
Oh, I'll try that.
Is that
even feverish? Gina has useful topics in life. Amazing.
I think I'm pretty sure. Chat room,
All right,
let me know if not. Give it a try, and we'll see if we can.
I will
figure it out.
It's like
if I did it right now, my tongue would be sticking out, and I'd be cursing. So I'm going to not do it now.
I do that too when you're concentrating.
Did you see that Google TV got jailbroken?
Yay! Now I have to hook my Google TV back up now.
Actually, not so fast. You have to solder on a port in order to load the ROM. So not yet. We're not there yet, but it's the beginning. And actually, this took a lot longer than I thought it would take. To be honest, I mean, I think it's just a reflection of the lack of interest.
Let me just ask: wouldn't jailbreaking it be the greatest favor? Maybe people would actually write things for it that would make more sense.
I mean, it requires sort of a level of devotion from developers to do this type of thing. So I think that it's a good thing. I think jailbreaking just means that they replace the Flash player inside Chrome on Google TV because Hulu and those sites that are blocking check the version of the Flash player. But you have to go in and you have to get access.
Here's
to
what you need. You need a brand new out-of-the-box Logitech review. If you update it, it will stop work. It won't work. So
that's
I'm out of luck. Okay, right. You also have to solder wires to add a port to the motherboard of the review.
Jesus.
And then...
worth it? Not worth it.
Then you download the modified Flash player. Because what happens is, normally you use the browser user agent to identify, oh, that's a Google TV. And so initially that's what the networks and Hulu were doing. They were saying, well, I see the browser you're using is a Logitech or a Google TV, so we're not going to let you do it. And then Google said, well, no problem. We'll change the user agent. Actually, users said that. And they said, well, we better look elsewhere. It turns out Flash also has a non-modifiable, normally, user agent.
Right, unless you install another version.
You have to get a different version.
Son Jake was saying that and I was finally installed the Apple TV, and he said, you should have just gotten a Mac Mini. It's a far better way to do it.
Yes and no. It's interesting. I'm actually giving a lecture on the cruise. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks in February to South America, and one of the lectures is turning a Mac Mini into a home theater PC. And one of the pieces of advice I'll give people, well, she's coughing.
Yes.
I thought you were mocking me.
No, I wasn't mocking.
Gina covered her mouth. I thought she was laughing. Well, the only reason you do it is if you want to do. See, it's funny. I think I mentioned this before. Veronica Belmont made a Google spreadsheet matrix of all the different units and what they can do, and no one Roku, Popcorn Hour, WD Live, no one unit does everything. The only way to do that is to use a computer. Then you get everything, right? So that's the only compelling reason to do it. But truthfully, it's so much more expensive because you got to start with a $6.99 computer. Yeah, and you have to do a lot of messing around with it. You might as well just get a Roku box and live with it and say, well, sorry. Because you got Hulu Plus, you got Netflix, you got Amazon, you got a bunch of third-party channels, including TWiT. I think the Roku is still the king of the hill. And I'm sorry, Google, but you just...
Yeah, they blew it again.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the classic Xbox hack. Leo, do you remember this back in the day when they
Bunny Wong. Bunny Wong. He was the guy who did that on the original Xbox. And I soldered more than a few chips onto an Xbox motherboard.
Yep. I see. Now I'm too lazy. I waited around until it was a soft mod, right? And eventually it was a soft mod, right?
Eventually I think you always had to have a chip, though, right? But eventually they had a chip that you used springs instead of soldering it.
So this type of thing will get easier, assuming that Google TV hangs around and gets more developer interest.
But isn't it an open platform? Why should you have to do this? I don't understand.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's like you go with Android so you don't have to jailbreak. Just the fact that they're using the word jailbreak breaks my heart. It's like, we're back. I might as well just buy an iPhone.
You know what? The thing that, and GigaOhms, Janko Reckers points this out in his article about the hack. The one thing, all that Google needs to do is put the marketplace on Google TV, and you're done. That's
what it really, really needs. For sure.
And then
I've been liking the Google TV. I feel like there's a little bit of a wave moment again for me, but I don't think it's that bad.
Gina, you're a jinx.
I know. I feel like it's like, don't say this. Maybe I have a high tolerance for the keyboard. I love having the big keyboard. I mean, I was watching the UConn Stanford women's basketball game, and I had picture-in-picture, and I had the Twitter search going. And, it was cool. I was like, this is really cool. This is kind of what I wanted. Sure, there are a lot more things I want. I do want the market. I do want a lot of other apps. I don't want to have to deal with this blocking and jailbreaking, but I'm still like, this is really cool. Now, Google sent me a Google TV unit. I am too cheap to have gone out and bought it myself, for sure. So I don't think people should buy it right now.
$300 I spent on that piece of crap.
Yeah, that's not no, not a good choice. True, I agree with you that the Roku is a better choice right now, but I think it has a lot of potential.
I bought them all. I spent $200 on the Boxy box.
Oh yeah, how do you like the Boxy box?
It's a lot like the Google TV. It doesn't have Netflix. I mean, not having Netflix to me is like
that's a deal.
That's a deal breaker. But it does have, and you might like this. It has what looks like the Roku remote. It's not very big. But you flip it over, it's got a keyboard on it. I mean, it's a little, it's like kind of like the Droid Pro keyboard. So you could type, which I think is kind of interesting. I like the Boxy software a lot, and in fact, Boxy or Plex are my choices on the Mac Mini. But the Boxy box, because it doesn't have all, Hulu Plus. I'm supposed to get that soon. Doesn't have Netflix. One of the things that's going to happen at CES is a lot of manufacturers, including Samsung, Panasonic, are going to have remotes that have a Netflix button, a red Netflix button on the remote.
Jesus.
Talk about a winner.
Netflix is awesome. They're killing it. That's amazing.
They're killing it. That's done.
Yeah. Remote placement. That's awesome.
How often do people buy a new TV? That maybe every 5 to 10 years, right? So that means that Netflix is front and center on that TV for the next 5 years.
So forget having the desktop, the screen top. You want the clicker top.
Yeah. Boy, do you want the clicker top. There's not a lot of real estate on a remote. If you have a Netflix button on a remote, you own it. And
Netflix earned that. Netflix is awesome. It's awesome. I've been so sick the past week. Netflix saved me. So great. The streaming is amazing.
I agree. My daughter came home from college and spent 2 weeks watching Netflix on the Roku. That's all she did. She said, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" And she speaks French, so she was watching a lot of French movies. There's actually an interesting collection of stuff. It's not too bad. And what happens is, the movie you want, you can't get. You have to get that on DVD. But there's so many movies that are okay that you just watch those instead.
It's true.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back with more. There's a lot going on. Amazon is going to go into competition with Google. Google is going into competition with Apple. The Chrome store, a little bit of a disappointment. We'll talk more about all of that in just a bit. This Week in Google is on the air with Gina Trapani from smarterware.org and ThinkUp, a great tool. Mr. Martin likes that tool.
Yay.
So that was right in telling him that the CSV button on ThinkUp downloads, is it all of his tweets and all the replies?
You can export, well, the CSV link, yeah, you export all your tweets.
It's just your tweets.
You can also search and export and filter replies, retweets.
Oh, you can. Yeah, because that's what he wants. He wants not just his
own. He wants replies
right.
as well. He can get that. In fact, I should make a new file that's sort of structured that way, where it shows his, it's a comma-separated value. Well, this is one of my moments where I was like, oh, maybe this isn't the best label for the export button. CSV is meaningless.
I sent him an email, too, and I realized I had to do, it's a comma-separated values, parenthesis CSV file you can import into Excel.
Yeah, terrible UI on my part. So that was a learning moment.
Geeks like it though.
Well, he said, I got my CVS file, and I was like, oh, it's not the pharmacy. Bad choice on my part. So we're gonna relabel that button soon.
Anyway, Steve Martin is using Gina's software. He's a beta tester. That's awesome. A pretty good beta tester.
Almost as good as the TWiT Fez.
Well, I've been using it too, and it's so cool. I mean, do you have at some point a plan to? I mean, you can download the server and install it, but do you have at some point a plan for somebody to make like a service using this?
Actually, we just put together, my coworker Andy Bayo put together super simple steps to deploy ThinkUp to an Amazon EC2 instance. It takes under 10 minutes. And Amazon's actually doing this deal. If you're a new EC2 customer, you get a free instance. I mean, it's a micro instance, so you get like maybe 600 megabytes of storage. It's a smaller instance, but for free for a year. So if you want to try ThinkUp, go to thinkupapp.com or get in touch on the mailing list. It's 9 steps, so it'll take you about 10 minutes. But you can have ThinkUp up and running on an EC2 instance, so you don't even need a web host. And we hope to do more of that kind of one-click install.
Are you going to do a hosted version of ThinkUp?
That's what I want. I think some company should come along and make ThinkUp.
I'm not, but maybe I'm not in the near future. It's just it's a scaling issue, and it's just like, do I really want to try and replicate Twitter and Facebook's databases? First of all, I can. I mean, it's just
Ev, would you just buy this thing from Gina?
I'm interested in doing sort of peer-to-peer hooks at some point.
Come on, Costello, get off your duff and buy ThinkUp.
But we do want to make it as easy as possible for folks to try it out without having to go through as much.
I like the EC2 instance, but that's still pretty. I mean, I don't think Steve Martin's going to be setting up an EC2 instance in the near future.
Right.
Before I sent him to you, I said, well, I'll just install it and he can run it on my server. And then I don't have the PHP data objects installed, whatever.
Yeah, PDO, right.
So guess what? You have to recompile PHP to put it in.
Oh, it's a bummer.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to run ThinkUp on my own server. So do we have to thank the AAAS for providing you with the bandwidth?
Oh, yeah, AAA. Well, AAAS is our parent organization. So they and the MacArthur Foundation fund Expert Lab. So they're giving me a couple of servers to deploy to folks with good data. Cool. Everyone from the White House to Steve Martin now. So we're equally excited about all of those.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So they've been fantastic. AAAS has been very supportive.
And you're on GitHub. If you search GitHub for ThinkUp, you can download the code, run the server. 0.7 is the current version. It's
just PHP. It's nothing too fancy.
PHP and MySQL, right?
PHP and MySQL, yep.
And you need the PHP data objects.
And you need PDO. You do need PDO and GD and a couple of more advanced.
I had everything. 5. I had everything except PDO.
Damn.
So close.
But still, it means I got to email with Steve Martin, so,
I know. I'm glad, actually. That worked out pretty well.
Thank you again.
You have his super secret email address. Do not give that out. You can also follow Jeff Jarvis. I was giving a big plug to Gina, but let me give a big plug to Jeff Jarvis. His book is What Would Google Do? And his blog is buzzmachine.com. And we will be right back with more conversation about Google and the cloud in just a minute. But before we go much further, I got to thank our friends at Ford. We're about to head down to Las Vegas, and I'll tell you what, couldn't afford to do this if it weren't for Ford sponsoring our trip. It is a very expensive enterprise, as you might imagine, bringing 15 people to Las Vegas, putting them up, feeding them, let alone all the equipment, the gear, the stage. And Ford is saying, no, we want you to do this. Now, good news. Ford's going to be very much a part of CES. Alan Mullally's giving a keynote, I think, tomorrow morning, and we will be talking to Alan shortly after that. Or maybe Friday morning, yeah. We'll be talking to Alan shortly after that keynote speech, CEO of Ford. He's a fascinating guy. Former Boeing engineer. He designed the 777 cockpit and came to Ford and really has taken that company and turned it around. Well, I don't want to say turn it around because they never took any money from the federal government. They were always solvent. He's just making great cars, and he's making the American industry proud, and I'm very proud to drive a Ford. That Ford Mustang right there in the back lot, sweet. It's got the Ford Sync installed. That's one of the reasons I love it. True hands-free calling. You just press a button on the steering wheel. You never take your eyes off the road or your hands off the wheel. That's the motto. Just think of that. You're focused on what you're doing, which is most important, which is driving, but you're still connected to the world. It works great with Android phones. My Droid X actually reads me text messages as they come in, and I can send canned messages out. I can call anybody without taking my hands off the wheel. I just press the button on the steering wheel. True hands-free calling. I say, call Gina Trapani on cell. Boom. It even understands Trapani. Actually understands 10,000 commands. And because it downloads your address book from your phone, it knows everybody you know, knows all their phone numbers. You got it all in the Ford. Turn-by-turn directions, too. GPS is built into Ford Sync. Personalized traffic alerts and weather. 911 assist. And a personalized vehicle health report, which I love. I set it for every 5,000 miles, but you can do it on demand. And it will go through the car, tell you all about what's going on internally, give you all the recall or maintenance information you need. You can even schedule service online at syncmyride.com. Now, take that, and now get in a new Ford Edge or the new Ford Focus, and you'll see the My Ford Touch. Some of the Lincolns have it, too. That is taking sync. Plus, you got the 8-inch screen. You got the 5-way touch pads on the steering wheel. You got the LCD screens. I mean, it's like you're in a command center. You actually are. I love it, and I want you to try it. Go to your local Ford or Lincoln dealer and test drive My Ford Touch and Sync. And if you want to know more, you can also go to syncmyridepodcast.com for demos and all the information you need. And we do thank Ford so much for sponsoring our coverage of CES 2011. It all begins tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific. Becky Worley and Tom Merritt will be live from Digital Experience, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Then tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, Sarah Lane and I kick the whole thing off. It's going to be fun. The show floor opens tomorrow. All right. Gina Trapani, Jeff Jarvis, and moi, we're talking about Google. Amazon says, we're going to open an app store. This is an interesting play. This is, again, something that happens because of the openness of Android. Android has its marketplace that comes with Google phones. Now, that's a Google product. So do you have to do a Google deal to have the marketplace in there? In other words, these Chinese tablet manufacturers they don't get Gmail, they don't get Maps. Do they get marketplace?
That's a good question. I mean, I know for sure that the Gmail app is a closed source, so it doesn't ship on those. I think
Marketplace is too. Now,
I believe the market is as well.
You can download Maps, but if you don't have Marketplace, you can't download Marketplace. I mean, I guess you could get an APK file somewhere. So this kind of is an interesting play. Amazon's saying, well, you don't need Google. In fact, anybody could write that Google layer. That's what people were theorizing Facebook might do, is take the Android base and instead of using the Google apps, put Facebook apps on top of it.
So would they ship a device with only the Facebook market on it, or is Amazon?
Well,
I mean, because don't you need the market in order to get the Amazon market? Or is this, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, so those of us who have standard Android devices, we can download the Amazon App Store. I don't know. First of all, it's just getting started. It won't be available till later this year, but the developers are being invited to participate. As of today, if you're a developer, you can go to developer.amazon.com and find out more about it.
Isn't that still good for Google? I mean, Eric Schmidt said a year ago that the one with more apps wins. 200,000
apps at last count, by the way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple's got 300,000, but the gap is closing very, 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 very fast.
Mm-hmm. This is a great thing. Developers are used to making money through Amazon, right? I mean, not quite this way, but certainly through referrals. And Amazon's gonna, their market's gonna be really good. They have a great recommendation engine. They're gonna do a lot of good. Like, you like this app, then you're gonna love these other 3 apps, type of things. Right. And your friends have looked at. I'm not sure if they do. Do they do much social? They don't do very much social, but Amazon is really good at recommending stuff that you like. So this is great. I think it's great for Google. I think it's good for developers. I'm interested to know how it would work. How do I get the Amazon market, or is Amazon going to ship devices? Are they going to ship a device with the Amazon market on it only? That seems a little far-fetched.
Well, if more companies don't partner with Google when they put out their devices, then there might be a natural thing to put the Amazon Marketplace on there.
What does it take to download an app into the phone? If Gina, you wrote an app tomorrow and just wanted to give it to the 2 of us, what would it take?
It's a pain.
Well, I would send you a link to the APK file, right? But you have to set your phone to install APKs from unverified sources, unsigned sources. That's not really a big deal, but that's a setting that you'd have to go into. You'd
have to do that for Amazon too, by the way. I presume on our phones, you'd have to say allow third-party sources.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, well, can Amazon do that? Can they hook in and just do that for you?
Right. I mean, I wonder if there's a way to say Amazon is a trusted delivery mechanism for apps and have that set as a,
Why would Google fight Amazon?
Why wouldn't they? They don't take a cut. Does Google take a cut? No. You can buy, Amazon would take that 70-30 split.
Right.
But Amazon would then take some of the money they make, I think, and they're going to vet apps. You have to get approval. They say currently it's a 1-week approval, but it could get longer if a lot of people do it. I think the users are going to like that because they're going to have some perception that it's safer, more secure. There won't be porn or illegal apps, but they won't be as strict, they say, as Apple is with its apps.
Father Jobs. And does the deal tie into Amazon web hosting? I mean, as a developer, is this just going to be a really
I would guess. I don't know, but I would guess it'd be just like Apple, where they host it for you.
Right.
They got to give you something for the 30%. Oh, by the way, they set the price. This is what's going to piss off developers. You can set a suggested list price, but Amazon reserves the right to charge anything they want.
Oh, it's just like books.
Just like books.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think
authors make no money on books that get sold on Amazon because they lower the price so much.
It was good right up to that point, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, why would I do that? Now, neither marketplace will have exclusivity, at least as of now, so you could be on both. But of course, Amazon could undercut the price on the Google marketplace. Amazon, the setup is you set a list price. That's the price you want it to be. Amazon uses a variety of market factors to decide what price it will use. You get 70% of Amazon's price, but they guarantee that you won't get any less than 20% of the list. So if they discount it, if you charge, say, I want $10, and they discount it to $1, you're still guaranteed $2 somehow. I don't know how. Is Amazon going to make up the difference? I guess Amazon will never set it below $2.
Interesting. So they could do specials on apps. So they could drive people to Amazon. Yeah.
They could do bundles. They could do specials. They drive traffic. They will. I mean, I don't know. You're a developer, Gina. It rankles, but on the other hand, can you say no?
I mean, just like being an author, my book has to be on Amazon, right? So I mean, it may get to that point, that same point with apps, where hey, I definitely want my app to be on Amazon. I mean, I don't know. It bugs me a little bit. I mean, really, are people going to run to buy your app if it's 50 cents less or $1 less? I mean, how much of a sale are we talking about here? A couple bucks, right? I mean, what's the most? I don't know. What's the most expensive app? I mean, except for that $1,000.
Is there a $1,000 Android app?
Wasn't there?
That was an Apple. Yeah, an Apple.
That
app.
Apple app. Yeah, which was a gag, right?
Actually, there is a real $1,000 Apple app that is training for some sort of certification that is actually worth it.
Which is actually, yeah.
Or presumably.
Hey, as a developer, I would definitely put my app on every venue, right, to sell it. It doesn't bug me too much. I mean, not a lot of developers are even charging for their apps right now, which I think is a mistake. I think more developers should.
What do you think? Didn't Rovio say? Didn't the developer, the guy who wrote the Angry Birds software, said we still prefer iOS? Not that we make more money, we just like the platform better. I think he recently said that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't done a whole lot of iOS development. In fact, I've only dabbled in Android development. I'm still really kind of a noob for mobile development.
You and I both got the test app running.
We got I got the Hello World app.
Hello
running.
World, yeah.
I mean, I think we can extrapolate from. I mean, Google's tools are very powerful and very nerdy. Apple's tools are, a lot more elegant, maybe, and a little more aesthetic, maybe a little more limiting, but still. So I can see, why it might be more pleasant. The SDK might be more pleasant to work with, but I'm not sure. I haven't done any iOS development.
Leo, I don't know if this is new or not. I'm just seeing conversation in chat room plus Twitter.
I see your link here that you just put in.
I just added a link to a video on Engadget for a honeycomb preview. I don't know if that's new or not.
I haven't seen it. Let's see here. The video is embedded below.
It wasn't up for a while. Like it was coming up private, but I think
the source is Android developers on YouTube. So let's watch a little bit.
Head and Shoulders is.
Oh, let's not watch a Head and Shoulders ad, however.
You trying to tell me something?
Hey, what are you talking about? They call them AD shampoos.
Engadget says, perhaps the best thing to say is that this looks more or less nothing like Android.
Huh.
The browser is the same. The Gmail app will be familiar to iPad users, but trust us when we say there's a lot of lovely UI in the video above.
Android 3.
Oh, this is going to kill me.
Because this is what you can't. This is what you can't get on your Samsung. Oh, look at that. Oh, very whizzy. Drag and drop icons. Yeah, this is why it needs two processors. Experiencing the full web, best-in-class web browsing. Well, we got that. You're not losing anything there. There's that honeycomb style or gingerbread style selection.
I don't actually like that much.
This is the Google eBooks. Nice bookstore.
Whoa.
Big deal.
Holy cover flow, page turn.
Yeah, very cover flowy. Yeah, page turn. We can leave that out. Tablet optimized Gmail. But this looks very much, that looks just like the iPad
Well, it depends on
Gmail.
how big the tablet is, too.
Yeah.
You just redesigned, this is the YouTube leanback, isn't it? So that's what they're showing there. Newly redesigned you. Chat face-to-face with hundreds of millions of Google Talk users. Wait a minute. Front-facing camera?
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah. There's the new
showing
Google
off
Maps.
the vector Google Maps.
So they're doing
That
FaceTime
you can do
with G-Talk. Can you do G-Talk video now? No, you can't. Can you?
I don't know.
You'll like this. Samsung just announced the Wi-Fi only Galaxy. Oh, you won't like that.
Oh, poor Jeff. Jeff is just, he's getting
beating him
killed
up
today.
here.
Oh, the cost of being an early adopter.
Yeah. I sent, mine was a loaner from Sprint, which I have sent back since. But I liked it. And obviously a lot of people liked it. Sold, as we mentioned.
I'm using it so much I'm getting back. The only problem with it is
You're stuck for 2 years. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And Verizon just cut the price from $5.99 to $500.
Right.
But they only rebated the money for the last 2 weeks of purchases.
Huh. Well, you really did get screwed on that one.
Hey.
You really did.
Jeez.
So, honeycomb when? When do we see honeycomb? Have they said
when?
later this year? They've just said we'll see probably a lot of tablets with honeycomb. I will make a very big point to get some honeycomb. We're going to do iPad today, tomorrow morning, and release it by Friday. And even though it's our iPad show, I think because we're at CES, a lot of the coverage will be iPad competitors, and we'll certainly get some honeycomb video for you, Jeff, and I'll get a hands-on for you if it's available.
Just to rub it in.
Just to make you crazy. Wall Street Journal says Google Digital Newsstand aims to muscle in on Apple. Is this a new Google application? Google's trying to drum up publishing support right now for a new Google-operated digital newsstand for Android devices. So you would buy magazines. It'd be, I guess, marketplace for magazines. It would include apps from media companies. So if, for instance, Rupert Murdoch wanted to put his daily on this, which is an app, he could do it. Google hopes to launch it in part to provide a more, this is from the Wall Street Journal, to provide a more consistent experience for consumers who want to read periodicals on Android devices. This is one area where iPad has owned Android.
Yes.
But mostly because of the screen.
Mostly because of that. And I'm going to use one of my numbers now. But the magazine apps have not done well.
Right.
They've gone down.
Although some are saying, now I've seen some dissent saying, well, they've gone down, but if you look at the paper sales, they've gone down at the same rate. That drop in periodical sales on electronic platforms mirrors the drop in periodical sales in general.
No, not really. Here's Wired is down, and this is, over a period of a few months, from 31K to 22K. Okay, they were first in, a lot of curiosity. Vanity Fair down from 10.5K to 8,700. Glamour down 20% from 4,300 to 2,275. GQ 11,000, which was his worst performance since April, 13,000. So they're all down, and they're brand new, and sales of the tab are going up.
Right.
So I
have some theories. Now, by the way, those publications you mentioned, mostly Hearst and Condé Nast, Time, Hearst, and Condé Nast, all three, according to the journal, conversations with Google, but all three declined to comment. Part of the problem, I have to say, is that in many cases in the iPad, you pay more for the iPad version than you do for the paper version. And even if you're already, as I am, a subscriber to the New Yorker, you get no break on the $4.99 iPad version.
It's ridiculous. You get no value added, really.
You know who does this right is The Economist.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get a discount, plus there's additional content, there's video. They seem to be
buying the magazine and I saw this somewhere, buying the magazine and the app for The Economist is cheaper than buying the magazine alone.
There you go. There you go. The Journal does that too. I wanted to cancel my paper journal because I have the Wall Street Journal on iPad, and it costs more. The paper is not just free; they subsidize it. I know that's bizarre, but I guess from an advertiser point of view, they really still want to sell those display ads. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I guess the Google newsstand will probably be more flexible in business models than Apple.
I think that's exactly it.
And Google wants to make nice with publishers because they're constantly accused, wrongly, I think, of killing publications. And so it'll put pressure on Apple and Amazon, which is a good thing for publishers.
Now,
so
Apple,
even if it doesn't work, just the fact that they created competitive pressure for people who publishers think are screwing them will be helpful.
Well, in fact, Apple already is kind of responding. Apple says we're going to make it easier to do in-application subscriptions, to sell subscriptions on iTunes. This is the problem. Apple takes its 30% cut out of in-app purchases, and there's also the publishers don't get the email address. They don't get information. So Apple apparently is also going to adjust how things go in iTunes. They also plan to give that information to the publisher.
But that's the interesting thing. The fight that I read that they're having is that Apple would make that an opt-in.
Right.
To allow me to send your name to the publisher. And, of course, the publishers want that to be an opt-out.
Right. You have said many times that all of this is just a holding action for paper publishers who are dying anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any scenario that makes a company like Hearst or Condé Nast make this transition and survive?
I just think the cost structure is way too high. I had lunch today with Fred Seibert, who started Next New Networks.
Yeah. Now, are they selling to?
There are only rumors, shall we say.
Did he confirm?
I will say nothing.
Okay. So because that's the big rumor.
He was a good boy. He was a good boy. He said nothing.
But he didn't deny it.
I know nothing.
So that's the rumor, is that Google was...
The rumor's there. The rumor's there and well known. But we were having this discussion about, ever the dystopian utopianist. I hope that...
Is that a thing? What is a dystopian utopianist?
Their dystopia is my utopia.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Right, that killing
bad
off
news for them is good news for us.
Right, I think so, because it's about openness and it's about disruption. And,
I agree. And I'm with you.
Taking their hegemony away from our media experience. And so, he thinks that the big old companies will eventually come around. I think there isn't enough time for many of them, and they'll die. And the problem is cost structure. I've said it before. The Washington Post is 2,000 employees. TBD in Washington is 55 employees. The issue isn't top-line size. The issue is profitability.
Yeah.
And a new company running on free platforms using smart collaborative mechanisms and specializing can be profitable much, much, much faster. I think that's the issue for Condé Nast and Hearst and such.
And let's not count out, and I think I would have been shocked a year ago to hear myself say this, the Kindle. This is absolutely an equal platform with the iPad and the Android phone. I mean, complete parity. They sold so many Kindles, and if you throw the Nook in, might even be bigger.
Well, the Nook, you see the Nook got hacked to have a full Android.
Full Android. It's a tablet now. Not much processing power. It ain't going to be running Honeycomb. But it's color. It's Android. So, for instance, Barnes & Noble offers subscriptions to 14 Hearst publications, including Good Housekeeping, Cosmopolitan, and Esquire. Kindle, of course, is when it launched, had very few publications, but is more and more all the time. News Corp, now this is a Wall Street Journal article, so I presume they know what News Corp's up to. News Corp has been trying to sign up publishers for an online newsstand where consumers would pay to access digital publications from a variety of companies, but it shelved that project this past fall. So they had been.
They were trying to get, because the deal there was they wanted everybody to go behind the wall, and they wanted to have a kind of one price bundle, right? Like cable. They wanted to recreate the cable model.
Interesting.
But it's never worked with print publications,
right?
And it was triply absurd and insane.
No, people subscribe to a magazine, not a newsstand. We know Monica Ray, Executive Vice President of Consumer Marketing, Condé Nast. We know consumers want an ongoing relationship with our print and digital products, and we are working with all partners to achieve that. Who is the most forward-thinking in this space? Is it Condé Nast?
Well, what's happened lately is getting off the reservation here, but the top publishers have all changed CEOs lately. Time Inc., Condé Nast, Hearst, each have new CEOs. I think the most forward-thinking that I know about there is the Atlantic.
They went on the web open and free a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and Justin Smith, who's the CEO, who had launched The Week in America and did a superb job.
I love The Week.
He did a great job of launching that. And
I subscribe. It's funny that you should say that because guess what I subscribe to? The New Yorker, The Week, and Atlantic. Paper versions.
There you are. So Justin said, he was interviewed in the Times about 2 weeks ago, and said, and this is the beautiful thing that I haven't heard any other publisher say, is he said, we sat down and said, how do we disrupt ourselves?
Yeah.
And so they hired Andrew Sullivan as a blogger. They got the web going big. They know that the web is the future. And the owner, who's a very, very smart guy whose name is suddenly escaping me, brought in Justin and gave him the rein to change the company radically. And the Atlantic is small enough and is owned by a single operator that they can do that.
They could do it.
The risk is just so great with these other companies, they're not going to do that.
What magazines do you read, Gina? I'm just curious.
Magazines?
Just to say magazine.
What is this magazine of which you talk?
I don't know this.
You don't get any print magazines?
I mean, I get Wired. But like I feel like that happened sort of by accident. Like, I don't think
you got it free. I got it. Yeah, I got it free because I bought something or something.
Yeah, no, I don't read print magazines. I read stuff on the web that I find through my friends. I'm not necessarily, I mean, I read a lot of those titles that you mentioned. I read the Atlantic a lot, I read the Times a lot, but I happen upon these things online. I don't have a lot of paper. I'm also like, I'm a little bit of a clutter. I don't like having papers sort of stacked up around the house too.
You know what I do? I make my own magazine with Instapaper. I'm going through the web, I find articles I want to read, and I Instapaper them. It emails it to the Kindle so I can read it there or on my iPad.
Yep.
Because there's a great Instapaper app on the iPad, and that's kind of my own magazine.
Yep, absolutely. I do similar thing. I have to switch to Instapaper. I've been kind of like
you do read it later.
And hawing. I do read it later, and now I gave in and just switched to Chrome, and now I'm syncing my bookmarks across my computers just using Chrome. Because Xmarks was closing down, but then it got bought because I was using that for a bit. Anyway, I just need to just start using Instapaper more because everyone seems to love it. I just haven't been able to.
I just have that Instapaper bookmark on my browser, and how often do you get to a page where you really want to read it, but it's going to be a fairly long blog post, often yours or Jeff's, and people like Fred Davis and Fred Wilson.
Wilson, right?
And I know, I really want to read this. Bruce Sterling just had a really good one on WikiLeaks, and so I'll press that bookmark, and it doesn't even pop up in a window or anything. It just goes saved. I love that.
Yeah,
and if you
great.
set it up with Instapaper, it will mail it to your Kindle.
That's really cool.
It's not free, but it's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. I have a very long read it later list, and I actually think that that is going to be the reason why I get a tablet. Is just so I can take the tablet and then just browse while I'm on the go because I don't have Kindle anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So if I put Instapaper on my Galaxy tab, it'll just sync and be right there, huh? Offline.
Does Instapaper have an Android?
Well, I think this is the reason why I didn't quite switch to Instapaper entirely. I don't feel like there's and actually I wanted to ask you about it, Leo. If there's I don't know if there's an official Instapaper app or if any of the unofficial ones are any good. And
now you got me because I realize it's iOS that I read Instapaper on. Let me see which ones I have installed on mine. That's a very good question. Instapaper, Marco Arment's product, deserves a Nobel Prize or something.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah,
there's other apps working around it.
Yeah, there's a few other ones, right? Everpaper, Instafetch. This is what made me hesitate. This is why I never switched totally to Instapaper, is that I didn't feel like I could get it on my Nexus One and feel good about it.
You're right. I mean, I use there's a, you can add it to the, one of the nice things about Android is you can add to the share, there's a built-in share bookmark on the browser, and you can add arbitrarily anything you want to it.
Yes.
So you can at least bookmark it.
Yeah, read it later. I could do that with.
Right. You're right. Interesting. Chat room, no solution on that one? Huh. That's keeping the Kindle alive for me. It's really handy.
Yeah, I wonder,
wait. Can I read it in my Kindle app?
Well, I guess that's the next question. I could just set up how you have it, Leo, and just read it in the Kindle app on Android.
I don't know.
Because the Kindle app on Android was a little limited at first, but they just released a series of updates with more functionality. So
including magazines and newspapers.
Yeah, big update.
Yeah. So that might be the solution. Who would have thought that Kindle would be where it is? It's really true. It's so true what you said, Leo.
Yeah, I would have never, if you'd asked me last year, I would have thought, oh no, the iPad's going to completely eclipse it. It's over. In fact, I think I said that many a time. Stupid.
It's because it runs on everything too. I mean, it's because it runs on Android and iOS.
And great battery life for the Kindle device, and they got it down to $139. I'm convinced that's the real reason Kindle's still alive and why they sell so many. But Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Amazon said Kindle's our best-selling product ever. Then Barnes & Noble said, hey, guess what? The Nook's our best-selling product ever. But maybe that's because they don't sell anything else.
Here's why that doesn't work. Because there's, 200,000 books of different titles. Books are their best-selling product ever. But any one title is not going to sell as many as their only reader.
The long tail in aggregate. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with more Jeff Jarvis, Gina Trapani, Leo Laporte talking about Google, the cloud. Mitch, if you're listening, I don't know what happened. We couldn't reach you.
He thought it was tomorrow. He feels terrible.
Oh, so he did. Okay, good. All right. Well, I feel terrible. So
next time.
Let's all feel, we'll get him on.
Yeah.
Gina was the one who felt terrible. That's why we were going to get Mitch on. But Gina's back. She's with us. She's alive.
I am. And I don't sound like Marge Simpson. Too much.
Well, we're glad you're here, Gina. Let me talk a little bit about our friends at Carbonite. You can go have a coughing fit if you wish while I talk. Carbonite. Don't cough. Carbonite. Carbonite is backup done right. This is the time of year when you've got a lot of stuff on your hard drive, pictures from the holidays, family pictures, that kind of thing, maybe music you downloaded, videos you made, and you really want to back those up. PC or Mac, Carbonite makes it safe, easy, and automatic, so you don't have to think about it. You could try it free. For 2 weeks, just go to carbonite.com/twig. Your files are encrypted during transmission, so the idea of Carbonite is you put it on your computer. It automatically starts backing up anytime you're online without slowing your system or your internet access. It automatically starts backing up anytime you're online using 128-bit SSL. And that's important. Why? Well, if you're at Starbucks, an open access point or somewhere like that, the backup's going to go on. You don't want anybody to watch your data go to the cloud, so it encrypts it and sends it to the cloud. You could further encrypt it using Triple Des or Blowfish if you want as well for absolute privacy. Now, here's the beauty of it. All that data that's backed up, you can get to it any time from anywhere. You log into your Carbonite account on any computer or the iPhone app or the BlackBerry app. There's your data. So it's always available to you from the cloud. Those apps are free, by the way. $55 a year is the normal cost. That's about 15 cents a day. Now, that's for unlimited. You don't measure the amount of data you use, but it's just got to be the personal data on your hard drive, on your internal hard drive. You can't just plug in a bunch of drives every day and back all of that up. It's the internal hard drive. $55 a year. You can get 2 months free if you use our offer code TWIG. So please try it first. It is dependent on high-speed internet. You got to have good broadband access. It's great for a student, though, because students are always, moving around different access points at the library. That's why I put it on Abby's computer when she took it to college. And you don't want to have to think about backing up. You just want it to do it. If you use the offer code TWIG, you'll save 2 months. 2 months free. Carbonite.com. Offer code TWIG. Back it up to get it back, and do it right. With Carbonite. So I've got my CR48.
Oh, boo-hoo-hoo.
Oh, no, don't boo-hoo-hoo. It's you don't need that. Did you get one, Gina? I forgot.
Yeah. I did get one. And I feel like a terrible tester. Well, I was traveling over the holidays for for a few weeks, 2.5 weeks. And, we had to do the show. So and actually, we wound up doing it on Google Talk. So I could have done it for this CR48, but I just couldn't justify bringing 2 laptops. No. And honestly, since then, I haven't been a very good tester. I just haven't picked it up again. I'm doing a lot of development, and I need Eclipse.
Google,
and
I'd be better than her.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You know what, Jeff?
Jeff would be a better
I
tester.
will send you mine.
No.
No, I will. I don't use it. I will send you mine. We'll pack it up. We'll send it over to you. Google said, here's what Google said when they sent it to you. They said, you can send it back if you want, or you can keep it. You do whatever you want with it. So normally I would not keep it. I would send it back. But in this case, I think it's appropriate to send it to you, Jeff, so that you can get a sense of it.
Well, so you just see no use for it? The reason I want to use it is to think about things like, because we require every student here to buy a Mac laptop.
MacBook Air, you should make them get an 11-inch Air.
Now, is it strong enough to do video and all the input?
It just doesn't have a lot of. It's plenty of strong horsepower. It just doesn't have a lot of storage, so they'd have to buy an external drive, or
they do anyway.
Or use a cloud.
But that's the question: is at some point do we switch to pure cloud tools?
I guess my attitude is that you can do everything that you can do on a CR48 with any notebook, as long as you're running Chrome. So it's really the question, and we talked about this, so I'm not going to rehash this, but the question is this going to be free? What is going to be the selling point?
Well, let's go to that for a second, because I think we we didn't discuss last week. We didn't have it last week.
No, we were in the best of mode.
The report of the new chipset for Android that can bring the unsubsidized price of an Android phone down to $75.
Uh-huh.
And so if you tie that to an incredibly cheap Chrome laptop and look at connectivity the world around, that really changes. One of the things on the list here is that Eric Schmidt wrote a little piece, a squib, for Harvard Business Review, and he said that all of Google's strategic priorities for 2011 are mobile. And he listed 3 things that they have to do. One is work on fast networks on 4G LTE, which was really interesting to me that he said that Google had to do work on that. Am I reading too much into that? 2 was digital money, and 3 was cheap devices to ramp up, distribution. So I still think that the Chrome thing is not for Gina to use to write the next great app, but is it the device that is it the end of the digital divide? Does it get tons of people on?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Right. We're just not the target.
No. And I accepted that. That's what basically I can't remember his name. The product manager for Chrome OS said, well, it's not for you. It's not. Don't compare it to a MacBook Air. So if it's close to free or it's cheap, it has very good security. I mean, that's really the big focus of it. Everything's sandboxed. Everything's secure. You even do things like hash the ROM and the operating system files, and if there's a modification, you protect it. I mean, it's good. I mean, they're really thinking of security first. But it's got to be cheap, because you really do give up a lot. Now, the story that's leading to this is that the Chrome Web Store, Jason Kincaid on TechCrunch did some calculations based. Google's a little too open, I guess, on the top grossing apps on here and so forth. And by the way, you get the Chrome Web Store on every version of Chrome, no matter what your platform. So it's not like this is just CR48 users. This is all of us. But let me give you some of Jason's calculations, and it's kind of essentially it seems like interest in this has dropped off rapidly since the CR48.
Yeah, but isn't that? We'll give the numbers first. I think it's a little unfair.
No, these aren't your numbers, I hope.
No, they're not. It's okay.
So the number one application based on downloads over the past week, according to Jason, is Onslaught Arena, a medieval war game. Sounds good. I'm going to go get this. $5, but it's had 1,294 installs, total of 5,000 users. So a gross of $25,000 minus the $2,600 in Google transaction fees since the store launched in December. It's okay, not bad. But then he says there's a big drop-off to number 2. The number 2 application, Wordico, which is a kind of a Scrabble game, 402 downloads this week, 1,457 users, $3 app. Total gross over since December, $4,356. Number 3, Brain Pop, $1,000. The fifth most popular, number 5 on the Chrome store, Real Solitaire, a mere 406 users. They made $800. Most of the top 11 applications, fewer than 100 downloads.
But are we really surprised by that? I don't think anyone I know knows that there is a Chrome store. It hasn't been promoted. There isn't a lot there.
I guess you're right.
You know, I know I'll be fanboy again, but I think I got to defend him on this one because I don't think it's there to be successful yet. It's there to start to put a place in the ground and understand how it works. And then if HTML5 finally takes over the world and people start using more and more web apps and the Chrome, the OS comes out, then maybe it'll be different. I think the other thing that's going to happen is tomorrow, reports are, on the 6th, Apple will open for developers its app store. And so Google just got out a little bit earlier so they can say, we were first. And we'll see how much Apple promotes it and then whether Google comes back in and promotes it equally.
Right. I don't know if the paid version has ads, but that amount of money does not account for ads. So maybe you make a little bit more money in ads. I don't know what I'm doing here.
I think it's just first for bragging rights. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'll be interested to see. I mean, do we think the Mac App Store is going to do as well on the desktop? I don't know.
The Mac App Store is going to do better. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
You think?
The Mac App Store is going to be totally dominant. And it's bad news for developers because if you do, let's say you want to do a demo version of your game or a beta of your program, you're not going to be able to because Apple won't approve it. You're going to be, it's going to severely limit what happens.
Well, that's a really good point. The beta problem, yeah.
Yeah. And Apple's going to, because users are going to love it. That's what I predict.
Because you're going to get a brand new Mac and it's going to be the first thing that launches when you start it up. Right. I mean,
and it's security you don't have to worry about, automatic updates. It's very much like iOS, right?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. You said that the new version of Foursquare, for Android, which I'm really enjoying, it supports comments and photos. I follow Dennis Crowley, and he had mentioned the early beta before it was in the market.
Yeah.
And I downloaded it, and he actually talked about how that was so helpful to have people kind of crowdsourcing beta testing before that they released it in the market. I think I'm still actually running the early kind of beta version.
It's how we do business these days of web development is fast iteration. So and that's why I like Android over Apple, because Apple's iPhone store slows iterations down. You don't get updates as fast. Android, sometimes you get daily updates. Thank goodness they added the automatic update, because now I don't have to think
thank goodness for Update All.
Yeah, well, Update All, but even now, if you check that box, it'll automatically do it on most apps.
Yes.
Or unless they make a big change in permissions, and that's kind of cool too, because I'll wake up in the morning and look, 4 apps are automatically updated. I love that. And I like and I'm sure developers like the fact that they can iterate without permission. But that's gone in the Apple model. You have to get approved. And
Leo, when I started working for Advanced Publications, which Connie asked back in 1994, and the browser had just been released, my first task there was to work on something called the India Journal, just a moment's story, where we found all the old computers that were around with big old 5-inch discs and got them out in the community and set up a bulletin board back at the offices. And an editor named Sriram Krishnaswamy would get reports from the community, very early citizen journalism.
Really
and he put out a daily newspaper that went out on the vertical blanking interval of the NBC TV signal.
This must have been 1980? 94. Okay.
It was done by MIT Media Lab.
So cool.
Story coming, and it went into a TV antenna at the Shivam Deli in Newark Avenue in Jersey City, and there was a big red button. MIT insisted on the big red button. People would hit the button, and out would pop the latest issue.
Awesome.
Right? So we did all that stuff, right? So now imagine that if you could buy a bunch of devices in bulk and give them out, what all could you do, right? So journalistically, could I empower a community to report on itself? Educationally, could you really take a school and eliminate textbooks?
So that's what Chrome OS. That's what you're saying for Chrome OS.
That's what I think is the power here.
Yes,
it's
I agree.
Like looking at Android, and the thing you're going to do starting tomorrow is look for devices besides tablets and phones that have Android.
Yep.
Same here. What are the uses besides geeks on PCs that if you had cheap devices that you could buy in bulk and give out in bulk, ad-supported, educational, charitable, whatever, what's possible? Now, will everybody have computers anyway, and it's ridiculous? Yeah, eventually they would. They have cell phones, and cell phones are expensive, but they got them because it's important. But I just think that there's uses for these things that potentially are big. Or I'm full of crap.
But I think, I like this, and I think Google thinks big like this. So this is I wouldn't say Microsoft's going to ever do that credibly, or Apple's ever going to do that credibly.
Well, Microsoft was, they fought the one laptop per child.
Right.
They
Intel hated it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and again, don't think the Chrome is for the U.S. If you think about Chrome for Africa, Chrome for Brazil.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
Really powerful.
And frankly, more practical than the one laptop per child, which had a very kind of funky small talk based interface and, sugar and all of that. And this is just, it's a browser. I think everybody knows how to use it. Eric Schmidt does, in fact, say that all of Google's strategic initiatives these days are mobile. No wonder they promoted Marissa Mayer.
Yeah, I'd say that should vindicate her for that being a promotion.
Yeah. This is at Harvard Business Review. He's writing, preparing for the big mobile revolution. As I think about Google's strategic initiatives in 2011, writes Eric Schmidt, CEO of Google, I realized that they're all about mobile. We're at the point where between geolocation capability of the phone and the power of the phone's browser platform, it's possible to deliver personalized information about where you are, what you could do there right now, and so forth, and to deliver such a service at scale. But to realize that vision, Google needs to do some serious spade work on 3 fronts. We must focus on developing the underlying fast networks. He's talking about 3G networks.
And stop there. Google must focus on this?
Well, that explains maybe the deal with Verizon, right?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, for the quote net neutrality deal.
The net neutrality.
Yeah. Second, we must attend to the development of mobile money. Now, that's the near-field communications stuff built into the Nexus S, I would guess. Phones, as we know.
It's not just that. It's also the back end to handle new currency. Right. That's big, too.
And this underscores what you said, because he's looking at the third world. He says, phones, as we know, are used as banks in many poorer parts of the world, and modern technology means their use as financial tools can go further than that. Third, and this again is what you were talking about, we want to increase the availability of inexpensive smartphones in the poorest parts of the world. Notice he doesn't say laptops, he says smartphones, but that makes sense. That's what a smartphone is a small computer.
Yeah.
We envision literally 1 billion people getting inexpensive browser-based touchscreen phones over the next few years. So really, Chrome OS isn't about a CR48. It's about a phone.
Browser-based touchscreen phone. That's interesting.
Now, didn't he say that Android for touch, Chrome OS for laptops? But
he had said that.
Yeah.
But
browser-based touchscrking phone sounds like Chrome OS.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Maybe we will see the full Chrome on Android, within the next few versions.
Or maybe Eric's just blowing smoke as usual. I love Eric. Eric's the best CEO because, he'll just say anything.
Well, when I interviewed him for the book, it was funny. He was quite growly about the reaction he gets and about the horrible video on Times Square. I don't know if I said this in the show before, but he called it death by Twitter.
Ooh.
And he said that, you say that one line somewhere, and that's all that gets tweeted out is that one line, and no context, nothing else is there. And the people who want to attack him will attack him shallowly. And he emphasizes that full paragraphs of reaction are very good or valuable to a company. But death by Twitter, I thought was a great line.
But, there's also life by Twitter. A lot of people will quote smart things that you say. And, I see Steve Jobs quotes, around all the time.
If you use it properly, it could be very valuable.
Yeah, he shouldn't have to reduce his message down to a soundbite every time, but, actually, maybe he should more often.
But see, I think an article like this in the Harvard Business Review then gets retweeted and put out. How did I learn about it? Probably from Twitter.
Yeah, his last tweet was December 11.
See, you're missing the boat, Eric. Dude.
We need to get him in touch with Cory Booker.
You know who's not missing the boat? John Boehner and the GOP. They're going to stream the opening session on Facebook. Wow. Talk about getting it.
The question is, will he cry?
I have to say, Boehner is also the one who wants to change the rules in Congress to allow computers, phones, and so forth tweeting from the House floor. And I have to say, I think probably because of my left coast liberal leanings, I don't always think of the GOP as the party of technology. But boy, they seem to understand a little bit better at this point. The 112th Congress you could watch it on C-SPAN, but you could also watch it on the Pledge to America Facebook page.
Hey, that's great. However you engage citizens, using social media to engage citizens is a great thing.
Yep. The GOP leaders are billing it as a down payment on a new era of governing in the public eye through web-enabled technology.
Awesome.
Right on, yeah. Nick Shaper, we got to get him on. He's a digital media advisor to John Boehner. Said this will mark the first time that the opening session of Congress has been streamed live on Facebook. Well, yeah. Yeah. I guess is it going on right now?
It might be.
Let me see.
Is there a link?
Yeah, I think it is. Click to watch. You can go to this by going to facebook.com/pledge to America. And they're using livestream.com for this. Oh, looks like it's over.
That's great. I also love how the press secretary uses Twitter to gather questions from the public to answer.
Robert Gibbs?
Yep, Robert Gibbs. Yep. I say this is fantastic. Go to where the people are.
Yep. Well, C-SPAN was the beginning of all this, where you could actually tune in C-SPAN any time of the day or night and watch stuff. And smart members of Congress really started to take advantage of that, using the comments sessions. I remember this. Who was it that was giving long speeches to an empty house? But you didn't know because the C-SPAN cameras were pointing at him.
Right.
And, of course, Obama was very effective. Actually, Obama disappointed because I think he was very effective at using social media to get elected and then didn't seem to really want to use it after the fact.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue. And the same was true in the UK with Cameron. I asked his social media person back early on when he was making videos, will this continue when he gets in office? And he said, if it didn't, this would be rather cynical that we're doing it now. Well, turns out to be rather cynical that they're doing it now because it doesn't continue once in office. I know Beth Novick, who's the head of the transparency effort at the White House, and the need to get things vetted by lawyers is a constant issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe that's the problem.
That's part of the problem.
It's the take my BlackBerry problem.
I mean, Gina, you're a lot closer to all this than I am.
They're using TweetUp.
They're using ThinkUp, and I actually got to meet with the new media team at the White House, and I actually think that they're doing a lot of really cool stuff. I think First Question is a really good example. I mean, President Obama did an It Gets Better video during the teen gay suicide.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did an It Gets Better video. Yeah, I mean, he's like an internet meme.
Good for him.
And which was amazing. I mean, when I saw that video, I was just floored. And then they released sort of a montage of White House staff doing that. WhiteHouse.gov has been very active. I don't know. I've actually been, I said, I'm close to this.
I'm not wrong that the perception's there that he's not using it. So why is that? Is it all just smoke and mirrors? Is it perception?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm pretty close to this. So I was surprised to hear you say that. I didn't think that was the
I don't think I'm alone, though, in that perception. Maybe I am. Maybe it's just me.
Chat room? Time in.
And Neil Dash writing in his blog a couple of days ago, three's a trend, the decline of Google search quality. And I've started to see this, talk about a meme, I've started to see this meme circulate a little bit around the internet. He quotes Paul Kudrowski, writing, Google has become a snake that too readily consumes its own keyword tail. Alan Patrick on the increasing uselessness of Google. Google's like a monoculture. Thus, parasites have a major impact once they adapted to it. And finally,
they're blaming Google for spammers and stuff.
Yes. Jeff Atwood, trouble in the house of Google. I can't help noticing we're not the only site to have serious problems with Google search results in the last few months, he says. Is this perception? Is this the case? It's anecdotal, obviously, and then Neil points that out.
You know, it's like the other stuff we have on the list. I'm so sick of people declaring things dead and over.
Oh, I didn't even bother with the RSS dead meme, which has come and gone and is back again.
It's ridiculous.
Every 2 years. Every year.
You know what? I blame bloggers because they look for a snappy SEO headline, and declaring something dead is a lot better for a headline than saying, well, it's less interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to read that?
and you know, there are certain characters who do it all the time, and it's just so irritating. So to say, listen, Matt Cutts has a hell of a job, right? Because the evildoers are always going to be a step ahead of him.
He's the guy who works at Google for web spam. We've had him on,
and so I think that he does a very good job of trying to get rid of web spam, but he's always going to be a step behind. That's one issue. And that's kind of what they're talking about in those posts. The other question is, and Marissa Meyer just talked about this in an interview she just did, new mechanisms of discovery. That's a different question. That's a question of making a leap ahead.
Right.
So is Quora or Bing or that other search engine better than Google or not? That's an incremental question. There's a strategic question, which I have to believe Google's working on. Could they blow it the way they have things like Buzz? Sure. And boy, do I piss off people when I dare criticize Buzz. That's going to get me right now.
Well, the good news is you're only about 100 people left to be mad at you.
But they're vocal. They're vocal.
They're vocal, but I'm not kidding. It's 100 people. It's
Jesus.
We're gonna get killed for this.
No, I challenge
guys. Don't bother. Buzz is dead. I'm not going to read Buzz. I don't care.
Nobody denies it. Nobody denies it.
Buzz. Okay?
Apparently.
Okay, you got it? I don't like Buzz. I don't like it. You know why I don't like it? Because I don't like you bozos there who are like a bunch of school marmy crapheads who all they do is talk about how you should properly use Buzz. Well, screw you. Thank you very much.
I kind of agree with you.
Best of 2011, right there.
It's the people.
We are taking notes this time at the beginning of the year for the end of the year best of, and there's one right there.
Sorry.
And by the way, you'll probably be vindicated. I really had high hopes for Buzz. You know what I'm wondering now, and I notice this seems to be a trend because I had high hopes for Jaiku. I had high hopes for Pounce. All of the Twitter...
Jinx.
It's my fault. No, I think it's because
to my world, Leo.
I liked... Well, yeah. And Wave. No, I liked the conversation, but it turns out I don't think anybody wants the conversation. So Twitter continues to win because there is no real conversation on Twitter, and all of these Twitter clones that involved threaded conversations, and I think the same thing is going to happen to Quora, quickly lost their appeal because nobody really wanted it, except for those 100 people.
Obligation, right? It's an overload problem. And
that's definitely part of it.
People wanted a broadcast. They wanted RSS.
Yeah, right.
Really, they didn't want to have You don't have a conversation with your RSS feed. You don't have a conversation with Twitter, really.
You can, but actually that irritates people. I got into it about the Oprah network this weekend.
That was epic, Jeff.
What do you think of OWN?
I was like, I'm going to build a Think-Up plugin just to accommodate this own thread that Jeff started because it's so interesting, complex, and involves so many different people. And I was like trying to map together the status
IDs. That's why you
IDs.
can't have a conversation on Twitter. You need software to parse it.
Yeah, you do. You do. Well, that's what Gina is going to build. OWN is the most narcissistic effort on earth, and it was actually Rafat Ali. I retweeted him and set off this woman from the New York Times deal book in just a cultish fit of defense of Oprah, where Rafat argued...
Yeah, if you think Buzz fanatics are dangerous, don't
you don't mess with Oprah
Don't
fans.
mess with the O.
So Raffat had said that it was hyperbolic, it went too far, but he said that basically, can you name anything that has been so bad for the self-image of women than Oprah Winfrey?
Whoa.
Whoa, that set him off. And I thought it was an interesting thought. I got it. Yeah, he went too far. But as you watch it, basically everybody is screwed up until Oprah comes in to rescue them, except celebrities who are all allowed to be amazing. But everybody else is a mess. And she's got to cut you down before she can build you back up in her mold.
Wow.
And I just found that fairly offensive. There's one show where the guy comes in and he helps you clean out your mess, which I could use.
Yeah.
I would show you my office, right now. But he gets to the real issues. Okay. He was dealing with a family where the father was dying of leukemia. And it's just so exploitive to me. It's so tremendously exploitive of people that Oprah, the truth is that Oprah is responsible for trash TV. Phil Donahue invented the form and had it on a high end. Oprah came in and compete. She's the one who went to trailer trash screaming. And then she recanted suddenly because it went too far because everybody else copied her and TV was going down and down and down. So she recanted and said, oh, no, now I'm going to be good and virtuous. And they tried to get me to appear on that show as a TV critic to lionize Oprah, and I wouldn't do it. Pissing off the flack for TV God immeasurably.
Oh, I bet. I mean, the power.
Just like I piss off, the PR people from my publisher when I dare criticize Oprah. But that's what. Gina, what do you think of Oprah?
I'm pretty neutral about her. There have been times that I've been really pro Oprah. There are other times when I shake my head. I can't take it. I really go back and forth. I see your points. I find the devotion to Oprah fascinating in and of itself, and I just find that her career trajectory just sort of fascinating. Like as a media personality, she's just an interesting person. But yeah, I see your points. I found the whole conversation that you had on Twitter this weekend very interesting, and I really wanted a way. I really wanted to like create a visualization of it. That was my reaction to it.
Yeah, really fascinating. I just showed a few of the tweets, and you were in there. You were fiery. You did not sit back, Jeff. You just got in there and.
What the hey?
All right, let's take a break.
See, I don't just yell here.
He yells everywhere. No, I think that I think this is one of the great democratizing things about the internet. We all get to have our opinions and have the conversation. It's a shame that Twitter is where the conversation happens because it's just so hard to follow, and there are so many great conversation platforms, but apparently nobody really wants them, including Buzz. And nobody. But really
isn't that I think the issue for me is obligation. So the buzzers get mad at me because they say, well, you've never been on Buzz. I say, yes, I was, but then it was more things to answer and deal with. It's like Quora. Right? More things to answer and deal with. I've got enough things to answer and deal with. I don't mean to sound self-important and Oprah-like there, but, we all are overloaded. We have no busy signal anymore. And so to give me something that sets me up in a position of obligation, no, I resent. Whereas Twitter, come in, come out, buzz, who cares? It's okay. And I think that's what makes it more appealing.
I think you're absolutely right. The no commitment part of it, dip in and dip out, is definitely part of Twitter's success.
Certainly is why I use it. But I like conversation. I mean, that's all I do all day, every day. But maybe that's just that's not the right form. And I can't imagine quorum lasting very much longer. After a while, people are just going to get tired of answering questions.
But there are those who are declaring that it's the next big thing that's going to take over Google.
It's amazing the spike that it's had recently. It's been such a big deal, and I've seen a couple of good threads. I haven't posted any myself. I mean, when I think good Q&A sites, I think Ask Metafilter.
That's actually a great site, yeah. Or a great,
or I would post on Facebook or Twitter and ask my friends, people who I have some sort of relationship with. But it is interesting that Quora, hey, just like you said, I think it's great to have different ways to have conversations, and I think it's even better that you can harvest the data and get insights from it.
Let us move along because we are running late. It is already 3 o'clock on the West Coast. We want to get down to CES soon and TNT. Before we do that, though, we should get our tip, tool, and number of the week. Let's start with you, Gina Trapani, your tip of the week.
Tip of the week is transferring your delicious bookmarks to Google Bookmarks. Now, Leo, I know you moved over to Pinboard, which I'm checking out, and I'm actually getting lots of recommendations for Instapaper clients for Android as well, Ben Paper and Hard Copy Pro. But Mihai Paparita, who's a Google engineer, wrote a little tool. It's at it's delicious-export.appspot.com. You enter your delicious username and password, and it will move your delicious bookmarks into Google. And actually, the one thing that Chrome OS has done for me is I am basically full-time Chrome at this point. And the really nice feature is the synchronizing bookmarks across all your machines, no extra toolbars, it required. So if you were keeping your bookmarks in Delicious and looking for an alternative, just want to go back over to Google, this tool will help you do that.
Does Google Bookmarks have that functionality that the Delicious? Maybe we should maybe we should be using that.
Which functionality? The tagging, or
well, just all the. I mean, you know what we use Delicious for.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have all the functionality that
it's just saving them.
It's just saving them, and I'm not sure if this export tool will actually create the tags as folders or what it actually does with the tags. But if you were just bookmarking, if you're using Delicious more as a bookmarking tool just to save URLs versus publish or share, I think Google Bookmarks is just fine. But it is the kind of old school folder system versus tags.
All right. I'm still going to do the import because then at least it will save all of that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. But Pinboard also great. And I know Mache, and I think I love his business model as well. So
yeah, I do too. You know him? I didn't know you knew him. We had him on Net at Night the other day.
Yeah, I met him briefly a few years back. Yeah, smart guy.
Of course, I just tried to use this tool, and I guess we've broken it. But anyway.
Whoops.
Maybe they had a few too many API calls to Yahoo.
Yeah, check out Pinboard. Sorry about the bad tip.
No, it's not bad. It's just temporarily.
Come
back later.
All right.
Our number of the week from Mr. Jeffrey Jarvis.
600 million. I've been waiting for this number to pop up and waiting for the case because quite a while ago, Facebook said that they had 500 million, and we've been waiting for it to go up. And I checked, in fact, just last week, their info page. They have a stats page, and it was staying at 500 million. Well, Goldman Sachs said to its investors that it has 600 million, and Goldman just said moments ago that they've cut off the offering.
Wow.
For
they've already
Facebook
fully subscribed
stock.
On $500 million?
Way oversubscribed to 1.5 billion.
Oh, man.
So they have more than $2 billion. There's a market demand for more than $2 billion in Facebook stock at that valuation. Now, the background here, of course, is that it's not a public stock. Goldman is going to invest itself, but then they'll in turn sell that off to others. It's a way to get around going public
for a little bit, because I think the SEC is going to start really looking.
They're going to come in on this, but I'm thinking it's kind of brilliant because what it's done is it's shown that Facebook can go public at far north of this valuation.
Yeah,
it has set an extremely high valuation.
So $50 billion is low.
Is low.
Oh, man. And I can't believe they got to 600 million because how many people are there? I mean, there's a billion internet users. How many? You're going to be at 100% at this rate in a year or two. Are they growing faster than the internet? I think they must be.
I think what's happening is some of the countries where other applications were stronger.
Like Orkut in Brazil or...
or StudiVZ in Germany, or the interesting one is Yuri Milner, who he invested at a valuation of $10 billion, and it's now 5 times that with his I think $500 million. Wow. So he's done quite well, and he owns the competitor in Russia.
Right.
So I don't know what's happening with Facebook in Russia, but Facebook is just growing.
One of the investors, the second investor with Goldman Sachs, was a Russian company.
That's Yuri Milner.
That's Yuri.
That's
so now he says, well, maybe I should own competition.
Oh, he's amazing. I've met Yuri. He is not an oligarch, but he will be one day. He has that kind of really stern Russian thing, but a very nice guy. He believes he's a very interesting investor. He does not take a board seat. He didn't want one. He invests in a great measure. He created the liquid market that enabled employees to sell their stock and take some money off the table. And that's how he got a lot of his shares with Facebook's blessing. Huh. And he gives a lot of advice to Zuckerberg. And he believes that we ain't seen nothing yet that artificial intelligence is indeed going to come in, and those with the most data will win, and that's why he loves Facebook so much.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
He's now big owner, big rich man. My my selection of the week is just something that relatively recently came out. Read about it in on Lifehacker. It's called Active Inbox. It's a free plugin that basically it's a Chrome and Firefox plugin that basically turns your Gmail into a getting things done kind of a tool. It allows you to take. They say email is just a to-do list that's hard to get to. So they're going to turn it into a to-do list. You install it, it adds, as you see on the left here, an Active Inbox plugin, and you can assign messages. It creates new labels, traditional actually getting things done labels like delegate and maybe later and so forth. You can have projects. You can have references. Really kind of a neat addition to Gmail. I know, Gina, you've written some, so you know a little bit about this. This is very elegant, very slick. It's nicely done.
Yeah, this extension used to be called GTG Inbox. It's had a couple of iterations, and actually it came out, its earlier iterations came out before Gmail had tasks built in, but it does a lot more than Gmail tasks. And it actually, it's a great extension. It's something that we've written about on Lifehacker through a few of its iterations, and definitely a good addition for GTD folks who don't want to have to move their tasks out of their email into another task manager, kind of builds it right in.
Emails are just badly formatted tasks.
It's really true when you think about it,
Yeah.
The reason why I hate email so much is because every single message represents like something that I am supposed to do
something
like
about.
some sort of obligation or commitment that I haven't, followed through on yet.
Email, I know. Shiver when
Sorry, I didn't mean to give you the shivers on that.
I'm going to go get on a plane where I can't be reached. Oh no, they have air. God, why do they put Wi-Fi in planes? Why?
Thanks to Google, free Wi-Fi. I don't know how long the free Wi-Fi is going on, but I had it on my flight home.
Virgin America in about 3 hours.
Yep.
I'll be tweeting.
I'm on a plane.
Travel safely, Owen. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a great time at CES.
Our coverage of CES begins very soon. Everybody's down there, the entire team. We have a skeleton crew up here of just a couple of people. Everybody's down there. We will have, if you can't get to CES, you can at least experience it on live.twit.tv starting in just a few hours.
Oh, better way.
Yeah. Gina Trapani, thanks you for being here, even though you're a little under the weather. I hope you feel better.
I'm as pixely as my.
This is how she feels,
pixely,
folks.
This is how I feel. That's basically how I feel like right
a
now.
little pixelated.
A little pixelated.
Like mostly here, but a little antibiotic haze. Great to be.
Smarterware.org is her website. Go there right now. And thank you, Gina. We'll see you. I hope you feel better next week. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks to Jeff Jarvis for joining us from New York City, where it is now dusk. He's at buzzmachine.com. And, of course, his book is What Would Google Do? Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next week for another This Week in Google.